Ladies and gentlemen, good people all over the world, we are here with you live, direct and in the building. Another episode of Eagles Elite Podcast. Um, Last week we was kind of good, right? We got a dub, it's cool. This week, not so much. And some of the things that we could look at and say, all right, we were on the slick field first week, cool, right? This week we had home opener. I think I would be remiss if I didn't say we had some concerns, right? So I'm gonna get the squad in here, y'all. We're gonna drop the intro because we need to be as relaxed as possible for this episode after that. But then we're gonna really get into some things here. So tonight is gonna be a little bit of a release. So fellow Eagles fans, if you're watching, you tune in, make sure you hop in with us because we want to hear what you have to say as well. But before we go any further, get my man Wyatt in the building. Wyatt, what up?
It's going cool. What's going on, Eagles Nation? We got a lot to talk about tonight. We ain't coming in as hype as we were last week for a good reason.
And we bring in the Diva as well. Diva, what up?
What's going on, y'all? Ready to get this off my chest. Wednesday couldn't get here quick enough.
Facts.
So before we go any further, let's get the intro. We need a little relaxation, a little coolness, a little positivity. But then after that, we're getting into it.
The kick is away, and the kick it's good! And the Eagles win!
It's hard to come to South Philadelphia and leave here with the win. We just don't come to Philadelphia and leave here with the win.
Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you. Let the celebration begin.
So we're gonna do what we do. I ain't get, we're gonna do what we do. But I know it's coming. So we'll start off as we do every week with news and updates. So Wyatt, got for us.
I only got a couple here. Just some practice squad news. We brought back Caden Stearns and David Adene. And we also released tight end Kevin Fulch. Those are three names that we've been hearing about over the past couple weeks, been kind of adding them and dropping them from the practice squad. Nothing too crazy. And then, of course, as everybody knows, we got A.J. Brown out as of right now. He's not on IR or anything like that. There's been some different reports. I believe it was early Monday. They were saying that they could have pushed him to come back that enough for this last game. He could, play for the Saints if he practices. But then there's other reports saying he's going to be missing a couple weeks here. So who knows what's going on as of right now. But as of, we know he's not going to be out for like 4 weeks, or else they would put him on IR, I would assume.
Yeah. If anybody wants to argue that AJ Brown is not a top 5 receiver in the league, just watch the Philadelphia Eagles game for Monday night. And that's all I'm gonna say about AJ Brown because he's not part of what's been happening. So a lot of talk about who's to blame for what happened in the game. We're gonna get into that. But the only thing I want to talk about on the news side is to reporters and interviews and stuff, a couple of different people. So Saquon said, hey, it's my fault. I dropped the ball. It's my mistake. We'll get into my thoughts on that. I just want to make sure y'all aware of. We'll get into my thoughts when we get later into this. Also, Jalen Hurts just came out and say, this is on me. We're a player-driven team. It's on us, blah, blah, blah. Your head coach allowed your new running back to take all the flack because he dropped the ball that should have never been thrown, play that should have never been called. I'm trying to hold it in, y'all, but I'll simply say all the people that took their share of the blame, respect to you. There is one specific person in particular who will take no blame and will accept no criticism for what happened. And I got something for you too, buddy. But yeah, so a lot of interviews, a lot of people saying, I'm to blame. I'm at least part of the problem, and I respect all those people because that's what you need. Also, within the news, a lot of talk about what's happening with Devin White. I mean, either you're gonna play the man or you're not. The way we look this week, we lose everybody we can get. But again, I don't want to get ahead of myself. I'm trying my best not to get ahead of myself, but I'm gonna tell you right now. We got to get into it, y'all. We got to get into it. So we're gonna start like we always do. We'll have our elite performance of the game. So we'll go there first. So Diva, we shall start with you. Who was your elite performer of the game?
Milton Williams. Balled out.
That's fair. Wyatt, who's your elite performer of the game?
I'm gonna go with Jalen Hurts, and I know it's might be crazy to say because the interception at the end, but I ain't even going to front on that one. But I think we actually saw retro Jalen Hurts. We were seeing flashes of 2022 Jalen Hurts as far as running and what he was able to do as far as creating plays. We were starting to see that a little bit, him getting comfortable. Just sucks that we didn't get to see him with AJ Brown and everything like that. He had to make do with what he had. But I think a lot of the issues that were happening, which we'll get into, was like more on the coaching side. But I think Jalen Hurts had his best game so far. I mean, we're only 2 weeks in, but he looked great in this game.
I'm going to cheat on my own thing, and I'm going to say that my elite performance of the game was the offensive line.
Okay.
Because there were a lot of times where Saquon, Jalen, even the tush push, they were opening up holes. They were making it where there was time for Jalen to throw the ball. For the most part, a couple of times, they got to him pretty fast, but for the most part, they were opening up holes. That line, Mekhi and Cam Jurgens looked leaps and bounds better than they looked last week, which made the whole line look better. So I'm going to give it to the line.
It's fair.
Line. All right. So there's so many candidates for this one, but your weakest link. Why? We'll start with you this time, sir.
Bryce Huff, man. Gotta go with Bryce Huff.
Diva, who you got?
Josh Sweat.
Figure you're gonna flip flop on that one.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go with Darius Slay. For my weakest link.
And to be fair, we feel like the whole darn D-line is the weakest.
There's a lot more people.
Exactly. We could have won.
This is just
to be clear, but
to highlight as the worst of the worst. But right. There's a lot of people we could have picked.
Yeah.
Offensive people could have picked too. Yeah. But yeah. So we'll go to the comments here real quick. And after the comments, we're gonna take a break. It'll be a quick one, just a little quick break. And we're gonna come back and we are going to talk that debacle of a game on Monday night. All right. So Playmaker says, "Good evening, Eagles Elite. Just drop it in. I have nothing to say." Yeah, this is probably
we'll
not
say it for you.
Probably not the week for it, sir. But we'll say, there's a lot of things we'll say for you. Just stay tuned. Philly says, "What's going on?" Philly, what up? All right. Rod says, "What's up, folks? Your head coach cost me some yams on Monday."
You know what? I think that's the smartest thing Rod has said in a while.
He cost us the game on Monday.
Right. Which is what cost him the yams.
Yeah.
Philly says defense and offense need work. Benny says, "Come on, cool. Don't pull your punches. Speak how you feel. I heard you ran all the way up here." So
I think Benny,
there's
you're
a
at the
time
game,
for that. It's just not time for that yet. It is coming, Benny. It's just not time yet. You know what I'm saying? We got to do things in the correct timage. All right, y'all. So we're going to take, like I said, just a quick break. We're going to get back, and we're going to start talking about this week. this week. This game. That's all I got to say about that. We will return.
Rams fans all around the world.
It's a beautiful thing to be a Rams fan right now. Stafford's back. We're going to see about Cup. And running back Kyren Williams to a return.
Lend me your ears, or should I say lend Playmaker your ears, as he breaks down week by week everything in the Los Angeles Rams canon.
Number 99, Aaron Donald. Can't wait for 2029 to come to know that you are going in the Hall of Fame, and it should be first ballot, no questions asked.
Join the Playmaker as he breaks down everything Los Angeles Rams style in Ramily Talk on the Playmakers Blog Network YouTube channel and where you can find podcasts. Join the transporter to Hades.
Your butt and gut becomes one.
Join the reformer of hooker whores.
This is my daughter, Placenta Booty Johnson.
Join the bronze god.
Whenever you are in distress, take off your baseball cap and throw it in the air.
Join your very own superhero of broadcasting, Chris Bass.
So whatever color crayon they get, they palm it and do 2 circles, and that translates to, I can beat up black people.
As he takes you through the week's paces in Baseline. Live every Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central, Pacific Time Zone people, just stay. Whether it's news, the largest egg producer finds bird flu in chickens at a Texas plant, weather, devastating tornadoes rip through the heart of the United States, inspiration, a breast cancer survivor completed the journey of chemotherapy, and now begins a future one of matrimony or sports. Michael Jordan is shown on a photo with Diddy. LeBron James has a video extolling the virtues of a Diddy party. This has been yet another Beating a Dead Horse presentation. We got you covered. BS3 Network proudly presents The Morning Shift with Cole Johnson. Live every weekday morning beginning April 29th at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central.
All right, good people. So we are back. And here we go. Week 2. Atlanta Falcons. So my original thought was I was going to ask questions and be like, blah, 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 this, blah, blah, that. But here's what I'm going to do. First, bring back Hassan Reddick rather than censored. This is what happens when you're not a fan of the team, but your spouse is. Stuff like that. Playmaker says that would be the first commercial. Diva, I know you are our quote unquote statistician. You want to give stats? You give stats. Don't want to give stats? You gotta give stats. Your thoughts?
Man, I didn't bring no stats up. I've been so mad this week.
Your thoughts on this game? We'll talk about what we can do to fix the team later, but your thoughts on this performance? And I use air quotes. It was a performance, just not a good one.
I mean, it's like, where do you start? I mean, you start off the first couple of plays, and Saquon is getting 9.2 yards per carry. Then all of a sudden, here we go again. We just abandon the run. Instead of you taking the points, and we know this was a Nick Sirianni play, not Kellen Moore, you go for the field goal. I mean, you actually go for it instead of taking the points and getting the field goal. So then you give them back the ball. Kirk Cousins is just all day in the pocket. Like, my man had Tom Brady time in the pocket. Then if he didn't have time in the pocket, nobody was shutting down the run game. Bijan was just running all over us. So then we get the ball back. Once again, you run it with Saquon, 1, maybe 2 plays. Then you go back to throwing the ball. When you have a running back, I don't know if nobody watched the NFL on Sunday, but as we see, the Saints ram the ball down the throats of the Dallas Cowboys. Alvin Kamara probably had close to 200 yards running. You also have, it was another team that ran the ball and ran the ball and ran the ball. That is the league. I'm not understanding why everybody feels like it's a passing league. It is a run league. That's why you have running backs. That is what tires out the defense. That is what opens up plays. Why we fail to understand that, it is beyond me. What was the point of you going to get Saquon, paying him all that money if you don't trust him to take the ball down the field? I get Jalen Hurts had a good game, but I don't want to see Jalen Hurts running like that. Like, it was so many times that I was cringing because I'm like, okay, he about to get hurt. He about to get hit. He about to get a concussion. He about to be out there like, he about to mess up a leg. Why is he running like that when you have Saquon? You have Will Shipley. Your quarterback should not be running like that. He should be in the pocket. If he's got to roll out because nobody's open and run, cool. But for him to have as many rushing yards as he had as a quarterback, I still don't understand that. I don't understand why we won't spread the ball. We got all this talent, but you don't never see Dallas Goedert. You see Dallas Goedert blocking. And I'm not going to lie, if I was Dallas Goedert, I'd be like, I'm gone. Because Dallas Goedert, even though he has injuries, he has the potential to be a Travis Kelce. And are we giving him that potential? No. Instead of Jalen throwing it to Dallas Goedert, he's throwing it to Covey. Instead of Jalen throwing it to Dotson that you went and got, and we know how he played last year with a less stellar quarterback in Washington. You threw that ball to that boy one time. One time. Don't get me wrong, I love Devontae, but I don't feel like Jalen trusts a lot of people on his team unless it's Devontae, unless it's AJ, and unless it's Saquon. He acts like there's nobody else on that team besides those people. And I said, why is Kobe on the field? Why? Like, boy is short. Like, he shouldn't. I can understand throwing one to him, but as many as he thrown to him, that should have went to Dotson. Period. Then we go over to this so-called defense. I tried to give Vic Fangio the benefit of the doubt, but we are back to where we are last year and the year before that. That bend but don't break defense does not work. Everybody was all over the field. We all of a sudden forgot how to tackle. Nobody was tackling besides maybe 1 or 2 tackles we might have got. Brandon Graham, I think, was the only one that rushed Kirk Cousins twice and then got a penalty twice. We have absolutely no pass rush, absolutely nobody to stop the run. And that is just absolutely. And then we had a hole in the middle. The donut came back. So, and Vic, you up there at the top. You should see everything. You did not blitz. You got out coached. Imagine what's going to happen the next 2 games. We got the Saints and we got the Buccaneers. And we know Todd Bowles knows how to call plays against Jalen. And their defense is not bad. So I heard that Jalen Carter was benched for the first half because he was late to an event.
It is what happened.
Right. So he wasn't even out. Okay, you go and you pay Bryce Huff all this money. Boy ain't showed up yet. I don't even know where Nolan Smith is. We shouldn't even waste that.
Back.
Right. We shouldn't even wasted that. You got Avonte Maddox who be getting burnt. You got Josh Sweat who, I don't know, just disappears. I'm just sick of going in this cycle year in and year out when we got all this talent and we can't get it together. And I'm gonna let y'all go because I can go on for days.
What you got, White?
Yeah, I mean this was like deja vu, man. This is like watching the Seahawks game from last year, almost to a T. I mean the whole. I don't understand how you have Saquon in that whole first drive. You don't even run the ball. You have your number one receiver out, and you decide to pass more. It just doesn't make sense, especially when you have Saquon, who's getting as many yards as he is. And like, why aren't you feeding him? Especially once you get down to the red zone, you forget how to run the ball. You just decide to force it. I think Jalen, I don't like him running as much as he did, but I think that I don't know. I think he's more comfortable running when he has to, and he looks better when he has to. It's for some reason when they're running these QB draws, they never work whenever it's planned. But whenever he takes matters into his own hands and he has to run, it seems like it works a lot better. So I don't know why they just stick to that and like do a little bit more RPOs. But I mean, it just seems like it's coaching malpractice. I mean, it's just everybody lacks discipline. You have all these penalties out here. They have no idea what to do in certain game situations. They decide they want to go for it on fourth down sometimes, and other times like, nah, we'll actually kick it here, or we'll punt it away or something like that. It's like they never stick with a plan. They never stick with wanting to be aggressive or being a little bit more conservative. And this is all down to Nick Sirianni. It has to be, because we've seen this for years now. And I know we're 2 games in, but I'm already sick of this dude. I told DV that on Twitter today after his press conference. And it's I know from the outside it may seem like Eagles fans and us are overreacting, but when you've seen this team through last year and also the beginning of this season, 2 games in, it doesn't look like much has changed. I know we have a different defensive coordinator, a different scheme, but we're still getting burnt. We're still getting ran over. There was tackling last week, but hey, maybe the field last week in Brazil helped us out a lot, it seems. I don't know. I mean, even with the grass going back to how it is normally, people are still slipping all over the field and falling down. Nolan Smith getting bullied, just getting manhandled, just thrown on his back all the time. You have Brandon Graham, who is older than all these dudes out here outperforming him. You had a guy that we brought up from the practice squad outplaying your starting defensive lineman. I don't know. I don't know what the issue is, and I don't know if it can be fixed without bringing in outside help, without Howie going out and trying to maybe get 1 or 2 players. I don't know if you can fix this D line with how it is as of right now. I mean, we're going to see what they're able to do in a short week or what they're going to do going forward, but it doesn't look good. And I'm about sick of Slay at this point. Dude out here just having fun, wants to be friends with players. He out here dapping people up after the game, telling them nice routes and stuff. Like, dude, you just got cooked. We lost pretty much because this defense gave up, and you just out here congratulating people, having fun. Like, I don't know. And Isaiah Rodgers didn't even take the field. He was benched. Like, why aren't we getting some of these other guys reps? Like, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like Slay is all in. I mean, CJ has his moments. Like, he gave up that big touchdown, but he came back with a huge stop. So, I mean, at least some of these star players are able to come out, like how Reddick was last year. He was silent for a lot of the game, but in those big moments down the stretch, you could kind of count on him to get that big sack. We don't have anybody that's able to do that, especially we needed that in the back half of this game. And I don't know. I just don't know if that can be fixed. The offense can certainly be fixed. You just have to run a cohesive offense that looks decent. Run the ball, have play action when you need to. But just for some reason, this team always decides to make it harder for themselves. And it seems like it's so bad on a weekly basis that it seems like they're doing it on purpose. Like, it seems like they're trying to challenge themselves even more than they have to. And I don't know. And it has to be down to Nick Sirianni at this point as far as the decisions go. And honestly, I'm just sick of it at this point. I'm over them. And we're only 2 weeks into the season. But I mean, I think the offense can be fixed. The defense, I don't know. I think that the secondary would be better if you had something resembling of a pass rush, but we don't. There's nothing there whatsoever to kind of mask that secondary we have.
You on mute, bro? You ready to go in? Get nobody even here.
I'm gonna preface my comments by saying we're 2 weeks into the season. So I want to take that into account. We do have a new coordinator. Just like 2 years ago, we have a lot of new pieces. So there's spacing, what this person does, what this person bites on, what I need to help them with, kind of some of those things that when you don't play guys in the preseason, they're learning in the regular season when we don't need them to be learning. But this is a league-wide issue. I do believe that when you have a lot of new players, you need to start playing people in the preseason so that way they kind of have some of this together. Now, there's a lot of things that was ugly in this game, right? We could talk. Y'all have talked about a lot of the things that were ugly in this game. Reed Blankenship had 9 tackles. Zach Bond had 7. Dean had 5. CJ, GJ, Slay, and Thomas Booker all had 3 each. Booker, who Wyatt was referring to earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So watching the game, I'm like, man, Deion Robinson went crazy, right? But then I looked at his stats. And he actually had 14 carries for 97 yards. That's not good, giving up almost 7 yards a carry. But he only carried the ball 14 times. But then Tyler Algier had another 9 for 53 for 5.9. So we definitely have issues with the run. This is something we had last year. I want to address something that was said earlier by Seth Joyner. It was either today or yesterday. Talking about Jordan Davis and how Jordan Davis shouldn't have been that high of a pick. It is a bad pick. And I want to say this about it. Jordan Davis was brought in to be a run stopper. Jordan Davis is doing a good job at that piece. Around him were supposed to be great pass rushers so that he's always able to eat up 2, sometimes 3 people and allow other guys to get off. Jalen Carter, I mean, for a half a play, he played, fairly well for a guy that only got in the second half. I mean, you got to be at stuff on time, Jalen Carter. That's part of being a professional. There's no excuse for not being on time. So I get why you had to sit the guy because, you got to make sure the discipline is there. But with all the problems that we had, with all the issues, 3 plays stick out in my mind is why we lost the game. Field goal that Diva talked about. The Saquon Barkley drop. And also, honestly, it's not really one play, but honestly, the lack of pressure as a whole. Like, not even making Kirk Cousins rush his throws or anything. There isn't, you can put Pat Surtain on one side and you can go and get, whoever you think is another great cornerback, whoever you want to name, right? And you can put them back there. If you get no pressure, they're going to get beat. Half the time, guys were in the middle in the zone. It took so long that they had to travel with guys that opened up holes for a guy to come behind him. You cannot allow that kind of time. The Bryce Huff experience so far, it hasn't been good, right? Actually, I'm gonna name a third play that cost us the game. And I hate to do this to him, but Devontae Smith, you had the ball in your hands and you let somebody knock it out of your hands. A.J. Brown does not allow that to happen. When you're going to step up and be the number 1 wide receiver, I'm going to need you to hold on to that ball. Because if we have those points, we don't lose this game. And that's the thing. All these things happen and we lost the game by 1 point. Right? So you're looking at Atlanta, they played a good game statistically at the end of the day. Kirk Cousins had 241 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he got 80 of them on the last drive.
Mm-hmm.
So if we play any defense, or if we had done like we're supposed to on the offense and ran the ball on 3rd down and just say, hey, let's run the ball on 3rd down and see. If we can't get the first on 3rd, what had been working to give us 3-4 yards every play? We're talking about the runs that Jalen Hurts had. 4 or 5 of those were tush pushes.
Mm-hmm.
And every one of those tush pushes, we got over 5 yards.
Right. And if you don't get it, you're at least taking another 30-something seconds off the clock.
Yeah. And took more time off if you ran the ball instead of throwing the ball. Saquon Barkley is a really good runner of the ball. As a receiver, he's okay. I think Fool's Gold, first week he caught the nice pass. Everybody's like, yeah, Saquon's going to do everything. That's not what Saquon was brought here to do. He was brought here to catch some balls at times, and he did that. But he's not. Mm-hmm. He wasn't brought here to be a receiving back. He was brought here to be a running back. When he had 22 carries. It's just that Gainwell only had 2. and Jalen Hurts had 13. 5 of those was tush pushes, and then you had the big play a couple of times. There wasn't a lot of design runs this week, which I think was a better move. But we've got to be able to maintain drives at the end of the game. There is no reason Atlanta should have ever got that ball back. You had Saquon averaging 4.3 yards per game. I mean, per attempt, right? So all you had to do was get 2-3 yards on that play and then tush push on 4th down. You get a first down and game's over. You don't give the other team an opportunity. That's coaching. Smitty, that last play on the interception, you got to go fight for that ball for your quarterback. I know that you're a smaller guy. I know that you got cracked a couple of times, but you got to go and you got to knock that ball down for your QB. If you can't catch it, you got to knock it down. You can't slow down and not be physical on those big plays. That was Smitty's part of that last play. The play call itself is whatever. You did have Britton Covey open over the middle on that one. He did catch 6 balls. So I know that there's a lot of Eagles fans, including Diva. It's like, oh, why are we throwing the ball to Britton Covey? When you take A.J. Brown out of the situation, then the defense says Devontae Smith is not going to beat us. He is not going to be the difference in the game. So now you got to get the ball to Goddard. You got to get the ball to Covey. You got to get the ball to Dotson, right? We didn't do a good job of that. But also, did those guys do a good job of winning? There's a major point in this that a lot of people are missing. Atlanta has a darn good secondary. There's a reason why in all of my leagues, except for one, because people jumped on the Eagles too fast, I grabbed Atlanta's defense. After their game against Kansas City, the rest of their schedule is very defensively friendly. Also, Jesse Bates is there. They got a lot of influence of talent in the last couple of years. Matthew Judon, and those guys, you heard their names called against us. This isn't the same Atlanta team defensively. And when they can put up those kind of stalwart stops like they did on us on the bad play calling several times, they gives the offense a chance. And I got to give Kirk Cousins props because he normally chokes in prime time. But not against us today. He sure didn't. We choked.
No, that man went 70 yards in a few seconds, not even a whole minute.
He shouldn't have had opportunity. That's the thing. Right. I get it happened, but you don't give him that opportunity. Everybody's mad at Slay. I'm mad at Slay for it too. But Slay should have never been put in that situation. Everybody's mad at Hurts for late interception. He should have never been put in that situation because the coach should have more sense. And if Kellen Moore wants to call a pass play on 3rd and 3, that's when tight pants, you put on your big boy hat. That's when you put some bass in your voice and you go on the headset, you say, no, run the ball. That's when you do something as a head coach. That's what a head coach does. Let me see this game. This doesn't make sense. This will be cute. But the problem is you want to be cute just like Kellen Moore. Oh, let's run with a pass to Saquon. That'll be cute. But then he drops it. Is it his fault for dropping it, or is it your fault for not handing the ball to him in his gut and letting him do what he's been doing to a 4.3-yard clip for the game? I'm going to go with the first one. You should have let him get that ball. You should let him do his thing. Defensively, the pieces that we have do not look good together right now where they're at. Isaiah Rodgers needs to be playing on the outside. Quinyon Mitchell needs to be in the slot. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't in the slot. He had to start on the outside. He practiced in the slot all summer. Why did you have him do that if you were going to turn around and start him outside? Ringo, I'm not seeing him getting time. Ricks, I'm not seeing him getting time. I'm seeing Darius Slay in this game, Quinyon Mitchell, every play. Darius Slay is an advanced age cornerback. This man can't go out there and give it his all like he used to. That's what happens when you get older. Anybody is getting older understands that. We said last year, give the other guys a run. If you don't want to run them, get rid of them and get some guys you want to put on the field. Quinyon Mitchell played a whole game on the outside. Keely Ringo and Eli Ricks were slated to be the backups on the left. Nobody can get in for a free play on the right either. Come on, man. Avonte Maddox is playing nickel. You know, we got players that we're not even given an opportunity to play in the game. Devin White, not even a healthy scratch. Like, what are we doing? What was the point of bringing him in and having him look like the starter for half the summer? You know, we're being told how much you love him, Fangio, but all of a sudden he's not playing. Is it a problem? Is it something wrong? Like, what's happening? The defense has to be consistent. Guys cannot play if they're not given opportunities. And then let's not talk about BG. Played well, but you got to be careful with the penalties. You got to be smart. You are OG, BG. We can't have you out there getting penalties. We can't go back to that lawless, crazy penalty behavior that we had in the past. These are all things that are problems for this team right now. And the biggest problem is the head is poisoned. And that's Nick Sirianni. We were sold a false bill of goods this offseason. What were we told after the season this offseason? He's just going to manage the game and let the defense do this thing, let the offense do his thing. Well, why was he the one going for it on fourth down on that first drive? You're not listening to your OC? You take the points. You're an arrogant dude. You show it in your interviews again this year, just like last year. You think you're always right, but you're wrong. You're the idiot in the room.
Well, you can blame Howie for that.
You are a goofy idiot.
Well, you know Howie sucks up everything he says. He was up there taking up for him the whole time in the offseason, so you blame Howie for that one.
And then you're not going to speak to your team.
Yeah, and the fact of the matter is this. What we saw this week better not come this next week. We're going to get into that. But if I see this stuff this week, I get it a couple of weeks. I'm going to start to get a little grace. I'm going to give you a couple of weeks to get right. We don't have A.J. Brown, understand that. You ran the ball 22 times. Here's the problem with running the ball 22 times with Saquon Barkley. I understand you probably want to stay under 25 and under because of the injury history. That makes sense. You go out there and have this dude run the ball 30, 35 times a game, like people like Rod Uncensored out here talking about run the ball, run the ball. Then he gets hurt. Then you look stupid. He has a history of getting hurt. So you got to put him on some kind of pitch count. So I'm guessing the pitch count is probably like 22 to 25 max, right? And that makes sense. But it's when you run. Say those runs for the end of the game. If you're not going to put Will Shipley in the game, let Kent Gainwell get out there and hop around for a few carries. Take some of that off for Hurts. Let's not design runs for Hurts because as we saw this game, and as I've been telling everybody for 3 years, this man runs the best when it's improvised. When it's supposed to be a pass play, he sees a lane and he goes. That's when he gets yards. When you're doing all this other stuff, he's not getting yards. When you're designing 10 runs for him a game, he's not getting yards.
Nope.
Understand who you have. Everybody wants, Jalen Hurts can't go through the progressions fast enough. He couldn't go through the progressions fast enough 2 years ago either, but he made it work. You play to your quarterback strengths. Kellen Moore, do better. Nick Sirianni, shut up and go be a cheerleader. Vic, get the guys who you need in the right positions. We don't need a dude that's going to be hurt in 2 games as a starting nickelback. We know Avonte Maddox is going to be hurt. And Cooper DeJean is still getting acclimated because he missed all the training camp. So Quinyon needs to be at a nickel position because he can cover deep. He's fast. He can catch up. Him or CJ need to be there. And the way CJ looked so far this year, I say Quinyon, right? And that's not a knock on CJ. It may take him a few games to get himself back right, too, because he missed most of last season hurt. So we got to think about that, too. But what I'm going to say is, as a whole, this was a very disappointing game to watch, even though we almost won. And I'm going to be honest with you. I would be having the same conversations if we did win the game. Because it's not the win or loss. It's how bad we looked. And then to lose the game at the end on top of looking piss poor the whole entire game, except for really the run game and maybe 1 or 2 drives. What are we talking about?
Sometimes you can come out of a game feeling like, okay, we can build off of this. We see some good in there, but there was nothing. There was nothing really good that you can build off of.
Only thing I say we could build off of for this game personally is Blankenship looks legit. Bond looks legit. Nakobe Dean is still struggling a little bit in pass coverage, but he's getting better on the run. That's the thing with the shorter linebackers. It's more difficult pass protection for them. Or not pass protection, but in pass coverage for them. So I think that's an issue that he just got to figure out a way to overcome because you can't get taller. But the pass rush that we have is putrid. You need to switch people, switch sides, or do whatever, but something has to be done about that. And there are guys out there. If Nolan Smith is supposed to be this and that, give him some run over there where Bryce Huff's supposed to be at. Maybe he'll do better on the other side. Bryce Huff, you ain't give him no run. BG, maybe switch him around. Doesn't matter if you play left or right outside linebacker where you really just edge rushers.
Mm-hmm.
Switch
Put
it up.
Jalen Hunt in. Let's see what he can do.
All I'm saying is very quite simply and clearly. And I could say a lot more, but I'm gonna end it with this. And if y'all want to add anything, y'all can. We have to be better as a team. We have to have more pride. We have to look teams in the face and say, you're disrespecting us. No one likes us. We don't care. But we gonna beat you down. What we out here doing? We out here playing prissy pants football. We're supposed to be a defensive, aggressive team. We was promised this. We was promised in the offseason. We was promised in the preseason. We was promised leading up to the game. We're going to be aggressive. We in great shape. We ready to play. We tackling. We went back to basics. All it looks like lies right now. Y'all need to get it together. That's all I got to say. Why the Diva? Y'all want to add anything?
All I got to say is you better watch some film and you better get it together for Sunday because Derek Carr and Alvin Kamara. Look,
we're gonna talk about all that. We previewing all that. We're gonna talk about all that.
You know what I'm saying? So all I got to say is y'all better get it together because we ain't trying to have another season like we did last season. Period.
No, starting out that way too. I don't know how you can look at that final drive, whether you're Kellen Moore or you're Nick Sirianni, and decide to pass there, to take that chance on the clock stopping with how bad your defense has looked that whole game. You telling me you're comfortable making that decision, possibly having to put your defense back out there on the field to stop another drive when they've been unable to stop anything most of that game? I just don't understand how you can even possibly think about that. Like, why wouldn't you run it? That's 4-down territory. You run it, and then you either brotherly shove or run it again with Saquon and get that first down or get the touchdown. Like, you got to do everything you can to ice that game at that point. Like, you cannot kick that field goal at the very end.
Get in that red zone to get scared. And I want to see more Dallas Goedert. Like, I don't understand. Like, he can run the slant routes in the middle. Like, what happened to those? And he's good at that because he's big.
That's the route tree. That's the route tree. Because, I mean, honestly, everybody wants to jump on Jalen, but when you're being pressured, and granted, he wasn't being pressured. Like, they didn't get to him, but he was being pressured. He could feel the pressure a lot. So that cuts down how many reads you actually have. You sitting back in a clean pocket, you can scan the whole field. But if that pocket's not clean, you don't have time to scan the whole field. It doesn't matter if you're Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Joe Montana, whoever. That's just.
I mean, he said but he did have some time where he had a clean pocket. He had enough time to scan.
He did have
a few of those.
Yep, and a lot of those times, if you remember, everybody was covered. So what are you gonna do if nobody gets open for you? Because there was a lot of times
they gotta do a better job of getting separation.
They have to work, and you're not getting the separation because everybody had to bump up a position. Devontae Smith is normally in the slot or on the right side. But when A.J. Brown hurts, he's got to be the number one on the left side. Doesn't have the same physicality, doesn't fight for the ball like A.J. Brown does. He doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Jahan Dotson and these other cats had to step up. So they had to play more than they were supposed to play. They're not used to being the number two. So they had to step up and play something they didn't want to play either. So the problem with the offense, truthfully, for me was you had a bunch of guys who all had to play up from where they normally play at, and they didn't get the job done. Mm-hmm. There were times no matter how clean your pocket is, nobody can get open. They weren't getting
right,
but
then that goes to the coaching because you never know who's gonna get hurt. So next man always got to be ready to play. So you always have to get them prepared for any situation. Period.
But at the same time, it's talent.
I understand that.
There's not a person on that team that's as physically talented and a dog like A.J. Brown.
We know that. There's
not a person on that team that can be the number two receiver and be as shifty and have the body control that Devontae Smith has.
I get that.
So when you push
But
them
you-
into different positions, one off the game and the other one there, you can't get guys ready week 2. They didn't really play against ones in the preseason. They're not really practicing like that because we didn't know that AJ Brown wasn't going to play till midweek. So they weren't able to probably get the practice reps that they needed, and they just don't have the same talent. That's when you do run the ball more, but that's why you got Will Shipley and Gainwell. Both of those men should have been in the game. Well, we should have had a run-heavy attack against an Atlanta team that does not cover the run well. We let him out, and we played to their strength, which was trying to pass the ball without our number one receiver.
As soon as Atlanta started stacking the box and stopping like 2 or 3 runs, they decided to go away from the run entirely. They were scared at that point. And then they would wait a quarter or two to go back to the run.
Because honestly, you could have there was a couple of times you could have ran the ball to the left.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't get a large, maybe just get a couple of yards. You come back with a toss or a sweep to the right when you got a long field. Saquon with 8.
Yeah.
They didn't do it.
It was just weird to see them throwing screens to Covey too. Like out of all people, like last year or even 2022, you're throwing those screens to Goddard. Goddard's taking that ball 10 yards, 15 yards on those screens. Why wasn't just Goddard? Like, I understand like the different coverages as far as downfield, but if you're doing screens, throw it to Goddard, man. He can bulldoze over some people. We've seen it.
They should have been doing more. They should have been doing more. Definitely that, but I think they may have had him in blocking and getting late releases too to try to stop because Atlanta's a really good pass
rush though too.
I mean, right?
Too, but we didn't run the ball enough.
No.
And I'm not saying Saquon should get the ball more. So let me be clear. I don't know what other people are talking about. I'm not saying that Saquon should get the ball more, but I'm saying there's 2 other running backs that we're carrying on the team for a reason. So let's get them some carries.
And you wanted to use
in the game
running
against
back by
Atlanta,
committee every other season.
We should have had 40 plus carries against Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
We apparently can't stop the run, and Atlanta can't either. So we should have had just as many running yards against them as they had against us or more. But
exactly,
we want our only 2 runners to be Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley.
Yeah. Atlanta was running the game plan we should have been using the whole game, and we just didn't for some reason.
Yep.
And I don't understand how the pass rush can't get there when Kirk Cousins was a statue. He was playing on one leg. He couldn't go anywhere. He was injured, and you still couldn't get to him. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. All right, Coach Dante says, "What's good? What's up, Coach?" And then Scrub says, "We here. What up, Eagles fan?
What up, Coach?
We not happy over here, but you know what? We're gonna go ahead, do another quick commercial break. We're gonna come back, and we're gonna talk about what do we think we can do to fix it. And then y'all know where we're gonna end. We're gonna preview week 3. So let's get it."
Join Ryan McCarthy.
I became a Jets fan because Kermit the Frog was my favorite Muppet because he was green, and the Jets wore green. That's how I became a Jets fan.
And Dustin Henry.
ESPN is cashing all in on let's pay a few personalities and we'll just kind of fill in the gaps.
As they walk you through all of the world of sports from their perspective.
The Albany Empire, it's a literal circus.
No credentials required. Where, Ryan, say the tag.
Where you don't need a press pass to talk sports.
Live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central on YouTube and where you can find podcasts. Drew Willingham.
In this case, yeah, you put the blame on Kyle Shanahan for apparently not preparing the team enough for the overtime rules, supposedly.
Cole Johnson.
Peyton was considered the winner, and he was the darling of all darlings for Gerald.
With a special appearance by Tyrone Alizé McDummy.
Ain't nobody calling me. Text. Delete!
Join these 2 football enthusiasts as they give you Total Football Talk. Live every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central on the Sertoba Media and the Comey Media YouTube channels. Cool McCain.
You thought you wanted Gunther against Chad Gable, but you didn't. And I'm going to tell you why. Chad Gable would take everything that Gunther's done and bury it.
The Playmaker.
It was on site.
AJ Styles walked out there, seen LA like, oh, okay, then LA Knight hopped out the car, let's go.
Break down everything in TNA, AEW, and all of the WWE programming. Join these two kings, monarchs of wrestling, live every Monday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central on the Play Caller Sports Talk YouTube channel. Poppy J.
You got the option to cry for the government. You got the option to protest. You got the option to keep buying, but this is also an option.
Wise El Jefe.
We're the first tech geeks. We're the first gamers. We're the first everything. Everything. Like Gen X's, we are the ones.
BS3 Network proudly presents the crew from the New York boroughs who never wants that smoke. Nah, they want that fire. Poppy J and Wise El Jefe, Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Check your local listings for your viewing and listening pleasure.
All right, good people. So we are back in the building. So the main thing for now is a question. So Playmaker says, I had no problem with the play call. Saquon got to catch that ball. It doesn't get more easier in that situation. Well, I beg to differ. It does get more easier. Put the ball in his stomach and let him run.
Yeah,
it's not a wide receiver.
You said I don't have no problem with the play call. I guess not, because it ain't your team. That play call was garbage.
If that was Marshall Faulk, you'd be right, sir. That's not Marshall Faulk. I'll give you somebody that I know you know very well. But on to the question. So the question, my good people, what do you believe Philadelphia Eagles can do to fix the issues with the offense and the defense?
Go ahead. Why you go first?
Oh man, I don't even know where to start as far as defense. Like, how can you fix a defensive line that can't create pressure? I mean, try to mix in some blitzes, like from the start of the game instead of waiting until the back end of the third quarter, fourth quarter to start doing it. I don't know. I don't know as far as like, I mean, because you need that pass rush to help that secondary out, like you were saying, Cool. You have to, or else they're just going to be cooked. The more time you give them, somebody's going to get open, and especially with Derek Carr, how he's playing and how they're running with Alvin Kamara. This could get ugly early. We saw what happened to Dallas last week. What happened to the Arlington football team? We were all making fun. I was leading the front, making fun of these dudes, and then we ended up getting cooked anyway. But I mean, it could easily happen to us. I mean, the offense, they just need to find some consistency and stop making these dumb decisions once they get to the red zone. Like, it should be common sense. If it's common sense to us fans, it should be common sense to the coaches. Run the dang ball. Run the dang ball, or just do some quick slants or something. You should be able to figure out, with all these playmakers we have, how to get in that end zone. It shouldn't be that hard. You're making it harder than it actually has to be. Run the ball, open up some play action pass. Jalen, use your legs whenever you feel the need to, not because you have to. But I mean, as long as he's running how he was last week and making the decisions he was making, I mean, it was kind of a desperation throw as far as the interception goes. So I'll give him a pass on that. But I mean, hopefully we're able to have some consistency like that. Spread the ball around. I don't want to see Britton Kobe getting all the catches. I want to see Dotson getting some. I'm assuming Brown's not going to be in this game. So you're going to have a lot of the same guys out there. Get Goddard the ball. Get him going across the middle if you have to. Get him in on some screens like I mentioned. I mean, the offense is going to have to play, a great game. They're going to have to play a perfect game if we want to start ranking up some dubs here, unless that defense is able to get some pressure and get it going. Because as of right now, I can expect any team that we play to, take advantage of our defense. So this offense has got to be able to put up points. You're going to have to put up 20, 30 points a game at this point. And I don't know if they're able to do that with Nick Sirianni calling these situational calls that he's been making here.
So I know how that offense can start doing better is don't let that man on the field. Keep him in the back, in the locker until we done. Do not let Nick Sirianni own the sideline while we in the game, because it's evident that no matter what they tell us, that man still has control over something he don't know what in the hell he is doing. He has no clue about football, as we seen last year. Let Kellen Moore do what he's supposed to do. We've seen Kellen Moore at Dallas. We've seen him with the Chargers, so we know that he knows how to call plays and put players in positions. Let that man do that. Stop letting Nick Sirianni run the football game for the offense, because he does not know what he's doing. We just need to, as far as the offense, make sure you take care of the ball. Stop the careless flags that we had. I think Juergens had 2. Maybe Leonard Dickerson had 1. I can't remember.
Ineligible man downfield.
Right.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
Right. They need to figure out something about that. And run the ball. Like, you got Saquon, you got Will Shipley, and I watched Will Shipley when he was with Clemson. Like, the boy's a beast. He might be short, but he a beast. And he can run the ball. So please give him the ball. You can give him the ball. It's okay. Give it to non-Gainwell every few plays here and there. Let him go in. Let Saquon get a break like he did the other day. He did get a first down or 2 or whatever, which I'm surprised, but he did. And just take care of the ball. And like White said, spread the ball. I mean, Dallas Goedert is just as big as Travis Kelce, and Travis Kelce always getting that ball. So make sure you incorporate other players, because if they know you're going to constantly throw to Devontae, they're going to keep him covered. And we know Devontae is a good player. He has good hands, but he's small. So it's easy to put a big man on him, just like they did at the end of the game. You see how he got outplayed. So make sure you're spreading the ball, Jalen, so that everybody is getting a piece of that ball, and then they don't know who you're going to go to. You got not enough weapons to go to plenty of people for them not to know who you're going to. Defense, we got to get pass rush. I don't know if we can do it. It don't seem like we can do it what we got. We might have to go out and find a player or 2 to help us with this pass rush, because we have none. We have absolutely none. We're not putting any pressure on the quarterback. And I said that when we were playing the Packers, I was like, there's no pass rush. None. At all. You might get a few hurries, but you're really not, that hurry is not pressure. Quarterbacks are not feeling like they pressure. They feel like, okay, well, I can just sit in this pocket and, move around a little bit, and they making plays. So we got to get pressure. I don't want to see that donut hole. I don't want to, everybody keep talking about they're not on the same page. Well, y'all got to figure out how to get on the same page. Everybody. Figure it out. It's enough talent on that defense for y'all not to be out there looking like you don't know where you're supposed to be, who you're supposed to be covering. The same thing I said I didn't want to see, we saw it in the Atlanta game. You wasn't tackling. You was missing tackles. Looked like someone was moving out the way. And I'm like, come on now. So especially with this team we got coming up, you have to get pressure. You have to stop the run. And that secondary has to play better.
I'm going to start on the defense. You correct your scheme. You're trying to play the outside linebackers all the way back and have them rush from there. It's not working. So you correct the scheme by stepping them up about 2.5 steps. So there's a shorter path to the edge and to the quarterback. You need to mix up your cornerbacks. You want to start Queen Mitchell outside, whatever. Isaiah Rodgers was your starter week 1. He doesn't play week 2. Unless there was a discipline issue or an unknown injury or something of that nature, he should have been playing. But if I remember, wasn't he the one with the broken hand?
Yeah, he didn't play week 1.
He didn't play week 1. That was Ringo.
Yeah,
my bad.
No, but he was clear. He was good to play this week.
That's why he said control what you can control.
Yeah. If you're still a little worried about, like, maybe you want to get a hand some more time because he just broke it at the end of the preseason, I can live with that. But then you need to use Ringo, on that side as well. Rotate the guys out on both sides. We need to stop taking one corner, putting them out there every play, especially an advanced age corner like Slay.
Right.
And expect him to cover like he did 5 years ago, 3 years ago, every play. Linebacker. Your true linebackers, Zach Bond is not coming out of that game unless he get hurt. And I get that. Nakobe Dean, maybe mix him in with some of the other guys just to see what they have. Just to see if maybe they give you a little bit more in situations. I'm not saying sit Nakobe Dean. I'm not saying drop him on the depth chart. I'm just saying maybe you see if you can get a little bit better coverage, a little bit better reach and distance sometimes by bringing some of the other guys in certain situations. You have to understand in football is how they work together. Practice them together and then let them play together. Right? And not just a week. You had a whole training camp. We were told all training camp that Quinyon Mitchell was going to be the nickelback corner. Now he's playing outside. And he's done that in college, yeah, but this isn't college. Now he's got to relearn what he was told would be like a second, maybe third option for him on the team, or maybe he'd play it sometime, to him being the starter. Now, I don't know if Rodgers comes back, if that changes. I'm just going off of what we saw this week.
It was the same thing with Devin White, though. He was
Avonte
taking
Maddox
first team reps
is
most of
getting
the
cooked.
most camp.
Well, I mean, there's nothing we can do about that. If they're not going to play him, they're not going to play him. I'm talking about who's playing.
Oh, yeah.
Avonte Maddox does not need to be a starter at nickelback. That should be Quinyon Mitchell's position. Period. He's the better option by far, and you got to do that. Ringo and Ricks, if you're not going to play Rodgers, start one of those guys. Let the other one be the backup. Let them rotate. But we don't need Avonte Maddox starting at nickelback. That's always going to be a target. We saw it against Atlanta. We'll see it all the time. He's going to be targeted because he's not the same player he was before his myriad of injuries, and he was always smallish. That's the reality of the NFL. Got to attack. Set those guys up a couple of steps. Give them less distance to go. Switch it up. So I'm put Bryce Huff, maybe Brandon Graham on the right. Put Sweat, Nolan Smith on the other side. Switch them up and let's see what we got. Throw Jalen Hunt in there a couple of plays on the right and the left. See what he. I mean, it can't hurt. Try some different things. Try some different combinations. But be aggressive, make tackles. Even in this game, even with how much we're talking about how this didn't happen, how that didn't happen. If we do one thing different, we either stop on that last drive or don't even let them get to the last drive, which we shouldn't got to. That's a win. So continue to do the things that are working. I know we're sitting here saying, oh, nothing's working. But if we only gave up 22 points, something's working. Because if our defense was as bad as some Eagles fans feel like it is right now, we'd be giving up 45, 50 points a game. We'd be looking like the Carolina Panthers. So we are making some plays at times. It's just we're not being consistent enough throughout the entirety of the game. So get more consistent. If you see guys looking a little winded, man, guys maybe not happening, sub them. Get somebody else in. If you see a guy not able to handle the way that the game is going, because maybe the way he plays doesn't work that way, sub him. Don't be scared to take guys out. And you say you're going to play who's playing the best. Show me on the field. Show me in the game. If you say it in the press conferences, you don't always do it in the game. Now we move to the offense. You got to run the ball, and you got to use your depth as running back. Hurts definitely you want to spread the ball around, but understand where normally they try to take away Brown and Smith, they're trying to take away Smith and Goddard. That's the two guys they want to try to take away because they know that that's the two guys who he will most likely want to throw to in that game. So we need Jahan Dotson to get a little bit more involved in the offense if AJ Brown's going to be out. I mean, Britton Covey's on the team. We need him to catch balls. If he catches 10 balls for 50 yards, I'll be fine as long as you're catching them. Johnny Wilson, you didn't catch your opportunity. You got to take advantage of your opportunities. We need you to step without AJ Brown.
And he didn't practice today either. They said he was hurt in the game, and he didn't practice today either. So we don't know.
Him and AJ were the only ones with the injury report.
Yeah, I'm just saying. If
he was hurt.
You got to play. You got to make catches. And when he was in the game, he still didn't catch the ball before he got hurt. That's what I'm saying. When you're in the game, I need you to catch. We need everybody to catch. We probably need to elevate Paris Campbell from the practice squad. He's a guy that can get the job done. Probably should have been on the roster anyway over certain people. But elevate him. If we know a guy's not going to play, you know what I'm saying? Do things that make sense. And also understand that it's not about who gets the ball. It's not about how many carries, how many throws. It's just about getting more points than the other team, eating up clock with the run. You know, if we get in a 4th and 1 or 4th and 2, we got the most devastating finishing play in football. Use it. Don't be scared to run the ball 4 times to get 10 yards. Drain that clock. Keep the ball out of that offense's hand as much as possible because we've seen what they can do when they get electric. And we're not good against the run, so we need to run the ball. I don't care if everybody comes out of the game averaging 2.5 yards a game if we win. A carry as long as we win. Grind the ball out. Play old school grinded football. Take the throws, play action. I did not see play action, but maybe once or twice in this game. Play action should be a staple of a team that has Saquon Barkley as the starting running back and then has those other guys who are supposed to be good behind him. Show us the depth. Show us what Will Shipley got. Show us what Gainwell got. Make things happen. The line played a lot better this game. We'll go with the assumption that AJ is not going to play right now because we haven't heard that he is.
He not. They never said
So, hey, everybody got to step up. Jalen, you got to be a little bit more precise. You got to run the ball a little bit harder. Fall forward for an extra yard. You got to do the things we're supposed to do. What you got to do?
I don't got nothing else. Get on to this next game.
So Scrub says, shout out to Sirianni for screwing the game up. Well, Sirianni will be silly. And then Scrub says, I guess the only win from the Reddick trade was a 3rd-round pick. Well, I got to tell you, man, if we're judging a trade on what happened for 2 weeks, we're really being prisoners of the moment, like on a high level. That's what I'll say. Scrub says can't have the self-inflicted wounds. Hey,
exactly.
If we did one thing differently at the end of the game, we still win no matter how bad we play. So I want people to remember that. This wasn't a blowout. This wasn't Dallas. We just blew it at the end.
Yeah. I mean, if you called a consistent game, you'd be up 2 touchdowns within the first 2 quarters.
Sometimes it doesn't happen that way, but still, we had opportunity to win, and we blew it. I mean, we as fans, we feel like we should go out every week and win by 2-3 touchdowns. It's not that easy in the NFL to do that. Unless you're New Orleans, apparently.
I mean, really, that's why I ain't even say nothing about Dallas because we got them next, and we don't even know.
Yeah,
what
they ain't
we're
about
gonna
to do us like that though. I mean, we may not go out there and win the game, or what I'm saying, the way if we play like we play, but we don't go out there and surrender that many points because we're not. See, the thing with Dallas is they're always like that. Soon as something go bad, it just build on for them. Dak start throwing fumbles, and throwing picks, and once that happens, it's a problem. And then somebody was trying to tell me, guess who led the league in interceptions since 2022? So I said to them, I'm going to correct you. Guess who led the league in turnovers since 2022? And that would be Jalen Hurts. But turnovers also include fumbles. You want to talk about just interceptions, there's another place you should go. Scrub says they better not do y'all like they did Dallas. We don't want it to happen. But unfortunately, we ain't calling plays on the field. And that's the truth of the matter. But we should be better. All right, let's go. Week 3. New Orleans Saints. Keys to victory. I'm going to start defense, keys to victory. So against the Saints are going to try to do the same thing that they did against Dallas to us. They're going to try to get the ball to Kamara often. They're going to try to get him going and then use that to make you stack the line. Then they can throw the ball to Olave, Taysom Hill if he's not running the ball or playing fullback out of the backfield, and get to some of the other guys as well. What the Philadelphia Eagles need to do is you got to be stout on this run. You may have to even go to the lengths of putting a spy on Kamara. Right? Take one of the safeties and just kind of have him, or the linebackers, and have him be a spy on Kamara. Like you're watching what Kamara does. I mean, you may want to go that far if it gets to that point. Coverage. You have to maintain your coverage. We're going to need to be a little bit more aggressive. We can't allow Derek Carr to sit back there like we let First Cousins this past week. Normally call him Third Cousins, but when he play like he did against us, I got to call him First Cousins. to sit back there and just pick apart a defense. Because you give anybody that much time, they're always going to get there. Carter had some tries, some opportunities, but it's just work. You gotta want it more than the other team. This defense has got to say, we're not going to get disrespected again this week. You know, we were decent last week, but we weren't good and we weren't great. We need to go out and we need to help the offense by being the best that we can and gelling week to week. What helps that is practicing who's going to play and keeping things consistent, but making the right changes when needed. On offense, I'll say the keys to victory: running the ball, screen passes, taking the open opportunities. And you know Jalen Hurts is not a quarterback that's going to read the field like a 10-year veteran or 5, 6, 7-year veteran. So being that you know that, give him 1 or 2 routes and then some outlets to throw to a hot route that those don't work. The line's doing well. We run the ball. We do those things. Spread the ball. Doesn't matter who it is, Jalen. Just give them the ball. If they can't catch it, they need to sit down. I mean, that's all I got that I think we could do any differently as keys to victory. Dreamer, what you got?
I mean, basically, offense, you just got to run the ball and take what the defense is giving you. I think we'll be fine on that side of the ball. Defense is what I'm worried about. I mean, when we played the Packers, we did stop the run a lot better than we did this week. So we just got to be a lot more aggressive. Go back to what you were doing against the Packers. You know what I'm saying? You locked it down, especially in the red zone. You did lock it down a lot when the Packers got to the red zone. So go back to doing that. Just mix it up. You know what I'm saying? If you feel like Huff and, certain ones ain't doing what they're supposed to, just switch them out. You know what I'm saying? That's the reason why we have so many linebackers is for you to switch them out and switch them up. And definitely don't have Slay in there the whole game. Like we talked about that last year. Slay is not meant – he really just meant to be like a coach and coach the young ones, not to be out there all game. That's the same thing that happened with Bradbury. You had him out there all game. He was getting burnt. So make sure you switch up. You got enough cornerbacks and young guys to put out there and switch it up. You don't need to be out there, especially on different coverages. You need to read your coverages and understand who you need to put where. And I think that's what he's not doing. You definitely got to get pressure on Derek Carr. Because Derek Carr has had great protection. Not just Dallas. He had it with the Carolina Panthers as well, which we know they're garbage, but still, Dallas's defense is a lot better than Carolina, and they weren't able to get to him. And he was just back there slinging darts. You know what I'm saying? So you're going to have to put pressure on Derek Carr. Derek Carr is not the same Derek Carr he was over there with the Raiders. Okay. He's in a good system with a good coach, and we got to get pressure on him. So that's really what it is the defense getting pressure on Derek Carr and stopping the run with Kamara. Offense, I think we'll be fine. We just need to make sure we run that ball, like run it down their throats. They're going to try to run it on us, so you got to run it on them.
What?
Yeah, as far as like offense goes, control the time of possession, run the ball. Try to keep the Saints offense off the field as much as possible. Run the ball with Saquon, utilize the short and middle of the field passes. Take what the defense is giving you, exactly what Diva said. And that's what we were doing with Atlanta for a while, where Jalen was taking advantage of those short passes or like little slant routes or these little middle of the field things. It was working. We saw a little bit of that in the Green Bay game as well. And that's what works. Why don't you utilize that a little bit more? Use some screens to Dallas Goedert, spread the ball around a little bit. Exactly what we were talking about most of this show. That's what you need to be doing. Find some consistency with the offense and then run the ball once you get to the red zone. Or draw up something different. Because it seems like we've been seeing a lot of the same plays throughout these first 2 games as far as the red zone is concerned, with the exception of that Smitty pass that we saw here in this Falcons game, which was a risky pass because it was like triple coverage, but Smitty was able to go up and get it. But don't go out here and try to play like hero ball, making these huge throws. There may be some stuff that opens up as long as you're utilizing the run game. But I think the offense should be fine. I think, like I've mentioned before, they're going to have to play a perfect game if the Saints starts going at our defense the way they've been going at these other teams they played. But as far as defense goes, you have to find some way to create pressure. Yeah, I don't know if like Vic Fangio has been in the game for a while. You should be able to disguise certain blitz packages to bring at them, but you got to start utilizing that way earlier in the game than you have in these first couple, because we haven't been generating much pressure at all. We thought that was due to the field in Brazil, but it doesn't seem like that's the case. But you need to find some way, somehow, to get this D line to get some pressure on Derek Carr, because I mean he can move too. I mean it's not like he runs all the time, but he can get out of the pocket and he can run if he needs to. It's not going to be like Kirk Cousins where he's just staying still all game. So I mean they're definitely gonna have their work cut out for him, and it's a short week, so hopefully Vic Fangio is able to get these guys ready for this game, watching a lot of film. Or else I mean we're gonna need a perfect game out of this offense. They're gonna have to score on almost every drive.
I'm gonna say this. We're 2 games into the season. I'm not gonna give the Saints the same amount of like caution and concern that everybody else is. I'm gonna say they played 2 defenses that, for whatever reason, one was just terrible. The Panthers are just terrible overall. I think you played a Dallas team that came off of a win, and had a chest stuck out, felt they had done something. Walked into the game underestimating their abilities on defense because of how well one individual played in week 1 that's not a starter. And I think that New Orleans saw some things in that and exploited that. And I'm not saying that they won't try to do the same things with us, but I don't believe that Alvin Kamara is capable, back-to-back games especially, of going out there and exploding like he did in this last game. So I think that's going to be less of a concern. But even if he gets 15 runs and he's averaging 7-8 yards a carry, that's still a problem. But I don't think we're going to get the same level of explosiveness from him a week after being that explosive. And they do have other weapons. But I think the biggest thing for us is stay in your gaps, control yourself. You're going to make mistakes. I know why it's saying play mistake-free football. I don't think there's such a thing as a perfect game. So I don't think we're going to be able to play a perfect game. But tackle. The biggest issue is tackle. If a guy gets by you, it is what it is. Get those laces, get them legs, get him down. If he's in front of you, he doesn't get any more yards. He gets driven back when you contact him. Contact the guy, you get him down. I think we do that against this team. I mean, because there was a lot of times where Dallas had him dead to rights, and they didn't finish the play. He made a cut, and he was gone. We can't allow that to happen. Go into this game, offense and defense, and feel like we should be 2-0. We let one get away. We're not going to be 1-2. That's the thing. It's got to be mindset. Everybody got to remember we played bad last week. We didn't do what needed to be done. We got to do it this week. And that's basically the mindset that we need to have going into this game. It's going to be a 1 o'clock game. Show everybody who the Eagles are and get the job done. Diva Wire, y'all got any last thoughts before we get up out of here? And shout out to 502 Angel Radio. It's been a tough show. Been trying to maintain, give y'all the real thoughts. But shout out to y'all as well. Any last words or thoughts, Wyatt or Diva?
Just gonna tell these coaches, do better.
I just hope what you're saying is what they got that same mind frame, because we could have that mind frame, but we need for them to have it. And if they don't got it, then I don't know. But we hope that maybe they will.
Yep. Oh, just because we lost, New Orleans got one reminder for you. And somebody need to get speared. All right. So with that being said, hashtag Fly Eagles Fly.
Hashtag Be Elite.
Be Elite.
We'll be back next week, hopefully. And I mean hopefully with much better news. Having said that, we out.